Okay, folks, welcome back to the campaign ending Webathon 2023. So the time has come to announce our new program. I am so excited about this. So this is the continuation of a process that began last year. Last year at the in the State of the University address, I talked about our Signum Press and Signum Studios initiatives. And over the course of this past year, we've been doing a bunch of experimenting as we've been built. We did a lot of work, a lot of wonderful work, building our press and doing a bunch of things, a lot of work, studio stuff that we've been doing, a lot of it. I was about to say behind the scenes, but that's kind of an ironic word to use when a lot of that work is happening in front of cameras. But anyway, so it's been really fun. We've been doing a lot of brainstorming, a lot of developing ideas, a lot of, as I say, a lot of experimentation with things. And one of the things that I've been really excited about is seeing if we can find a way to change some of the dynamics of the publication world. It's not like we're setting out to fix publication. Like that's, not exactly my aspiration. But it does strike me that there are a bunch of things about how publication has traditionally been done that that don't have to be done that way. In particular, the thing that that I myself was convicted about when we began last year, is the fact that too often, I think that there's a lost opportunity in publication. And the lost opportunity is community, is connection with people. Again, sort of applying the old Signum dictum, right? That the internet should be used to connect people instead of just distributing content. The publication industry as a whole is another example of how that I think needs to change, how it could change, but how it's really not changing fast enough. Certainly not when you're talking about mainstream publication. And of course, to make this problem worse, or at least to make the problem more pronounced, the publication industry has been in a lot of trouble, financially speaking, that is. It's been really struggling. So clearly, they need some new approaches in publication. So I'm keen to try one, and we're going to. And again, the principle, the heart of the Signum Collaboratory, the new program that we are launching, is to stop excluding the audience from the process. This is a metaphor I've used before, but if you imagine the publishing process as a building, right? So imagine, pretend that the whole process of producing, let's start with book publication. The whole process of book publication is happening inside of a big box building, right? You've got a lot of work that's going on inside. You've got authors writing and editors and layout and everything else that's going on in making books happen, right? It's a huge percentage of the overall labor that's happening at the publishing company. But the people, the audience, where do they go? What are they involved in? Well, in the very front of this huge building where all this work is happening is a little storefront, right? And and when all the work is done, they take the books and they put the books out in the storefront and they say, hey, wouldn't you like to read this, right? And that's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's really nice to have books produced, right? But the only place where they're actually interacting with people, where they're actually involving the audience in any way, is at the little storefront, right? That one little nook in the front of the building. And the whole rest of the building everything else is just behind closed doors. And to make it worse, it's, again, not only the payoff, that is the sales, are struggling to support that system, right? And of course, the way that it's set up, all of that work has to happen before any of the sales happen, which means publishing has always been about taking on significant risk, right? There's significant risk involved, and that risk is sort of allocated in different ways and under different circumstances between the author and the publisher, right? Sometimes the author takes more of the risk. Sometimes the publisher takes more of the risk. But there's a lot of risk, and nobody knows. Is the book going to sell? Right? How's this going to work out? And of course, lately, increasingly, not well is how it's going to work out. I think this whole paradigm can be changed. I think that we can again apply the Signum dictum, right, about connecting people, and do things pronouncedly differently that are going to create not only a more fun and interactive community-based circumstance, but also even a better financial model with far less risk for everybody involved. And the idea is not just to open the little doors at the storefront, but to open the back doors, to let people into the production process, to involve the audience from the very beginning. And that's what we're going to be doing at the Signum Collaboratory. The Signum Collaboratory, we are going to be publishing exciting book projects. We're going to be publishing exciting video series and films. We're going to be doing all of this stuff. But we're not just going to make you wait and tell you, hey, wait till you see in a couple of years these things that we produce. You're going to love them, I promise. No, we're going to open the doors and invite you in from the beginning. So literally from day one, right? Somebody comes and says, hey, I have an idea for a book. And we're like, that's an awesome idea for a book. Let's totally do that. What's the first thing we do? Invite people in. Hey, let's talk about this. We've got this great idea for a book, right? Come talk with us about this. We're gonna work this out. We're gonna work this out, but we're gonna work this out in ways in which you can be involved from the beginning, and you'll be part of the process from the start. You'll be getting updates, and you'll be receiving video episodes and scenes. You'll be receiving chapters of books and stuff as they're in development, as they're going, and then you'll retain access to them once they're finished and published and shiny. And all of those things. So this is the kind of the core spirit of it, and I think involving readers, involving audience, to bring them in for them to be able to read stuff, to discuss things, to inform the development of a project by having a group of collaborative readers there, right, who are supportive and constructive and committed to helping to see this project through, right? It's going to create an entirely different environment and create an opportunity to build a creative community of people who are, again, not just passive readers, but of people who are working together to produce really, really wonderful material. And yes, exactly, Ariel, supportive being the operative word. Exactly. No, that's very much the spirit that we are shooting for here. But even beyond just like reading and discussing, giving feedback, making constructive suggestions, brainstorming, planning even things are things that, this is something that I was experiencing myself in our early experiments with the press this past year. The group of people who were, the group of readers who were subscribed and working with me in my author circle, oh man, it was so much fun. And the suggestions that they've given, the way that they have shaped the chapters of my book that I have written so far, it is tremendous. I am so convicted that the book that I am writing is so much better than it would have been had I just been on my own, in the normal situation where the publisher is like, you've got a year, produce a manuscript and send it to me, right? Oh man, this is so much cooler. So this is the heart, this is the plan of what we're going to do with the Collaboratory. What I want to do now, and again, the name is a lot of fun. The Signum Collaboratory it's designed to be both to show the experimental nature of this, right? It's a laboratory, we're experimenting, we don't know what's going to happen, but that it's really founded on collaboration and a collaborative spirit, right? Not a critical spirit. There's not going to be any place in the Collaboratory for people who are just there to bash things, right? Who are there to make themselves feel smart by putting other things down and saying, oh, this sucked for these reasons, blah, blah, blah. There's no real benefit from that. And that's certainly not the kind of community that we're looking to build. constructive, supportive, challenging community. Man, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, all right. So let's talk now about some of the projects that we have that we're bringing over from, many of the projects that were in process with the Signum University Press over this past year. We're going to be continuing in the collaboratory, and there are new things that are going to be happening too. So I would like to introduce a couple people. I would like to introduce Maggie Park and Amy Trulin, who are the directors of Signum Studios and Signum Press, respectively. Welcome, Amy and Maggie.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Amy and Maggie are working on bringing in. So we're using the noun. One of the things that I'm going to be doing over the course of this whole session here is orienting folks to our nomenclature, right, to our vocabulary. Bringing in creators. We're calling them creators because it embraces both authors, of texts, and also different, video producers and different kinds of talent, and as well as, there will even be, artists involved in everything. So we're talking about bringing in creators to do projects focused here on video projects and book projects, and you guys are going to be overseeing, sort of chaperoning these projects as they work their way through the collaboratory, and ultimately towards eventual publication. Publication, this is vocabulary definition, right? When we talk about publication, what we're specifically referring to is the sale of these things to everyone, putting them on public for public sale, right? There will be things that we're doing prior to that which are not publication. They're circulation among our subscribers, right? Our subscribers to the Signum Collaboratory. So the Signum Collaboratory is going to be a subscription service, but it's not just a content service. You're not subscribing just to you will get really cool content, and we're going to talk about that, but you're subscribing for the opportunity to be in the room where it happens, and it's going to be so cool. So let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on now. Amy, as I say, we're bringing in projects from the press, which have been running for a while, and which many people have already sort of seen chapters of, had the opportunity to subscribe to. So let's talk a little bit, but not everyone will know about these things. So let's talk some about the books that are already, the books and projects that are already well developed in the press, and which people will get access to. There's a great deal of material already sitting there waiting for people to read and discover in the collaboratory.
Right, so that's our library. And of course, Corey, your own book, Exploring Lord of the Rings, that's one of our centerpieces for the press. And there are several sections of that now already going to be available for subscribers to read in our library on the collaboratory. And that's not it. We also have Ben-Avraham's beautiful The Flower of the Cedar. She is completely reworking this novel, revising it. It is gorgeous. It is a beautiful fantasy novel that she has put her heart and her soul into, and we are so pleased to be able to share that. And then I just uploaded them this morning, and uploaded some more. Mike Drout's Exploring Beowulf lectures. He has been commenting line by line on Beowulf over, I think I uploaded 31 line by line explanations of Beowulf, and another 10 topical lectures where he talks about different aspects of Beowulf, Old English. Wonderful stuff. And subscribers are going to get a chance to be able to listen to all of those.
Yeah. Just bringing up our library here so people can see the, we've got The Flower of the Cedar, and we've got my Exploring the Lord of the Rings. We've got Exploring Beowulf. I remember when Mike Drout approached me Myth Moot before last and said, so what would you think if I did an audio commentary line by line where I basically put like everything I've learned about Beowulf in the last 30 years, just out there? And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, that would work great. That would work great. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Okay, so look at all these episode. So he's got, in 31 episodes, he's gone through the first 2,660 lines in 31 episodes, plus these 10 topic essays so far.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That is so cool. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so that's just a wonderful example. And it's a fairly unorthodox project in one sense. That's another cool thing about the Collaboratory, is that we can be pretty flexible about the kinds of projects that we do. You know, it doesn't have to result in like ye old monograph, right? From previous times. Oh man, yeah. And so we've got, you can see a bunch of these are the first 22 chapters of ben-Avraham's Flower of the Cedar. And you can get it not only in text form, but you can also get it in Kay's own audio reading. My book also available in both audio and in text form. So I've got my 6 chapters. I've been doing 3 chapters per chapter. And I've been numbering them. The first number refers to Tolkien's chapter, and the second to my chapter on them. So chapter 0.1 is the first chapter on the prologue, the prologue to the Fellowship of the Ring. So I ended up doing 3 chapters on the prologue for it. Just, these things happen, and then 3 chapters on Long Expected Party, and I'm working on the Shadow of the Past right now. So, really, just been. Delighted to work through that. But we have some other things here in the library, which is a totally brand new thing, Maggie, that you and I have been talking about for a while. This is one of those conversations that Maggie and I had where, like, wouldn't it be cool if this existed? Yeah, why has no one done this? It should exist. Hey, let's do it. Talk about the core concept of FanTracks.
So let's start with FanTracks. FanTracks is one of the first things we came up with studios, because it was exactly that. Like, if you're a geek, you dive hard into this stuff, and you watch the film. Great. You might go see it 17 times in the cinema. Good for you. But then you're going to get home and buy the 17 versions of the different DVDs and listen to all of them with all of the audio commentaries.
Yes.
And you're going to learn everything and memorize it, frontwards and backwards. And we don't have those commentaries anymore, first of all, so we miss them from our films. God, I miss DVD special features. But we also don't have access to any kind of like analytical commentaries, and that's what we do. Like, if you've ever taken a film class at university or a close reading of literature, commentary is what we do. So to be able to bring analysis into watching your favorite film or TV show. And I will say it is analysis, but it's literally like we're sitting next to you with a bag of popcorn, enjoying it with you. Like, it's not highfalutin fancy pants. It's like, hey, let's look at this. And
these are not lectures.
Going on. Yeah. And we try not to talk through the whole film. It's just chiming in now and again, like pop-up video, but, with some fun facts and a little bit of insight.
Like watching with a knowledgeable friend. Yeah. Oh man, and it's been so much fun. We've recorded a few of these. So you can see we have 5 that are up right now.
But the list of 2 records is like insane.
Oh, yeah, we have a huge list of plans that we want to do.
It's a lot of fun to think about things that we can do.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at one that I was involved in. The Rankin Bass Hobbit. So New Better Do Better from TikTok and I sat down and watched the Rankin Bass Hobbit together and recorded a commentary track. Oh man, that was so cool. Like, I learned, for instance, about how New Better was telling me the story about how all of his friends, so he grew up in the hood in New York, and like was the only Tolkien fan in the hood in New York. But he's like the one thing he made traction with, they loved the Down to Goblin Town song. So anyway, I got to hear really fun stories about there was this one place, he said, on their street that they called Goblin Town. Because stuff went down there, anyway, it's so much fun. Like, we had a great time, telling stories and doing analysis and talking through things that we were interested in the adaptation. And the thing is like, not only can you then do that again, like, I hope we're going to have a bunch of Rankin Bass Hobbit commentaries, right, from lots of different people. You can get other people's insights into it, but even as a commentator, right. And you can see one of the things. So a couple of us have done some beginning some commentary on Rings of Power Season 1, because it's something we've all thought about a lot in the last couple of years. So actually we've got 2 commentaries on episode 1 of Season 1 of the Rings of Power. One, Maggie, with you and me doing an Other Minds and Hands style discussion of, or Rings and Realms style discussion of Rings of Power, and then Numbeta and I did one of those too. So I actually participated in 2 separate. It was totally different each time. It was like completely fun to sit with another person and talk it through. So,
and that's definitely something we like. I mean, obviously we want to go through all the Tolkien works. Like, we're not just going to have one commentary for the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Like, we're going to have 35. You know?
I bet you.
You can choose whoever you want to watch that film with and watch them over and over again.
Yeah, there's going to be dozens of commentaries on the Peter Jackson films, and that's going to be so much fun. So, and again, for those of you who are not familiar with this with the concept here, what you get here are audio tracks, right? So you will get an audio track that you play and when you start the audio track, there will be some instructions on like when to time it, like to hit pause and then unpause when you get to this one spot in the film, and then you just listen to the commentary through. So we don't want to supply the movies, right? You got to get the movie yourself, but when you have the movie, then you listen to the commentary track, and you can come back and do it again and again. So FanTracks, one of those like really, really simple but kind of gorgeous ideas. But we also have some other bigger things that we're working on, other bigger projects that are just starting. They don't have anything in the library yet. We don't have anything in circulation yet from these, because they're just beginning now. But let's talk some more about some of these other studios projects.
Sure. So the ones that you guys are going to see are the ones that have been in development for a couple of months. So I mean, things take a little bit longer with film production. So there's some development that happens first, but that part, I think, is just really awesome to be able to share. Like, way before I got into any of this side of stuff, the thing that influenced me the most in this study is the production practice. How does this happen? Because nobody knows until you do it. It feels like such a closed secret thing. And why? Like, we're all about opening the doors and sharing knowledge. So we have done a fair bit of development already, but it's time to bring that into these rooms and into these groups. So we've got a couple of projects that are ready to start discussing and sharing that. And then the slate is massive. So we've got a lot of things that are coming down the pipeline, and will be ready in the next few months. I'm going to say the next few months to years, because we've got some big plans. Mm-hmm. But the stuff that we've got already up there, do you want me to just talk through a couple of them?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting with like Corey was talking about, sitting down with Numbeta and having this wonderful conversation about songs in Tolkien. Well, the 2 of them got talking. This actually started on a bus in London when we were invited to London for Amazon's Rings of Power. The 2 of them started talking about hip hop and Tolkien. Do you need to add anything to it, or can I just talk about how wowed we all were?
It's for those of you who don't know Numbeta, he is an immensely talented video producer and marvelous Tolkien guy. I've gotten the opportunity to, Maggie and I both gotten the opportunity to get to know him a little better in these last couple of years. And we approached him. We were like, look, we would love to do some video projects with you. We would love for you to be involved. And he had so many ideas. We're starting with 3 of them. Well, he had 2 ideas. Right, which is already twice as many ideas as we asked for, right?
Yeah, and I'm actually, like, before we get into, like, each of the projects, we should just say, like, Numbeta is our first project. Like, we want to work with creators that see what we are trying to do and are like, yep, I'm in, let's do it, So that's exactly what he did. He brought a bunch of ideas to the table and was like, I'm ready, let's do it. And we've already filmed a load of content with him, and it was scratching the surface. I mean, he's got so much ready to go. But this first one was rap analysis with the Tolkien professor and Numbeta.
Yeah, this kind of we were talking about rap and stuff, and because as many of you know, hip hop is one of my passions as well. Just pinnacle of poetic prosody in the English language. But the it was actually when he was up here filming for the other ideas that we had, he and I got talking about this specific idea of actually doing this project, right? So the Hip Hop and Tolkien project, which we're calling the Song of Words. The Song of Words project is going to be, we're going to do a series of videos in which we take one Tolkien poem and one hip hop song, and we do careful analysis of both and compare them. So our first video that we're planning, a little spoiler, our first video that we're planning is going to be on Gimli's Khazad-dûm poem compared to Brooklyn by Mos Def. Oh man, so genius, so good. Anyway, so he and I are going to be talking about these things. We're going to be recording. So there's a lot of work to do. We're going to be, planning out how we approach this. We're going to be kind of outlining the things that we want to hit on. We're going to be, because then we're going to be recording, and there's going to be editing and figuring everything out. So, there's a lot that goes into video projects.
And we're talking about artists that we want to work with and the kind of vibe that we want to give to this style. So you can see how many creative decisions are involved in just kind of what do we want to create. And it does take some time to put all that together, but it's getting the different voices and ideas and opinions in on that for Nubita to say, here's a thing that I want to consider. What do you guys think? Or here's an outline that I've put together. Let me know your thoughts. There's going to be all these different ways for us to have these collaborations and fun feedback about what to do with it. And another one that the project that started us with Nubita was the Nubitification of the Silmarillion.
Yes.
If you guys have watched, Rings of Power, Rings and Realms, and Other Minds and Hands, you know that my knowledge is nothing compared to these guys for Silmarillion. Nubita was so good at distilling these super complex things into these bite-sized, digestible, understandable, relatable little snippets. So I was basically can we do more? In
his own ineffable style, which is just, I find such a delight to listen to.
He can take something so crazy complicated and in 2.5 minutes be listen, here's how it works, and just tell you exactly how it works.
Yeah.
So we've already filmed, I think, 14 raw footage snippets that we'll be working through with a lot more planned. And even those snippets, they're rough and ready. We want to show them to you and be what do you think? What do we need to do here? What should we add? Do we want to swoop in artwork? Do we want to refer to the films? Do we want to keep it original? So there's all sorts of stuff that we can talk about with these. But the Nubitification, I thought was a pretty key, quintessential what he does. The other one we've got with him is Tolkien Arena. So this is something he started doing on TikTok, and we're oh, this would be awfully fun in studios. He basically pits two fictional characters against each other. And it's not just who would win, Boromir or Aragorn? It's no, who would win, Boromir or Aragorn? Boromir. And he'll list it all out and do this super deep analysis. And
detailed analysis, yeah.
Yeah, give them different weightings and talk about their weapons and the grade of the metal in which they forged. It's insane knowledge. And it's not just Lord of the Rings. He will then take a character from Game of Thrones or, some other fictional
Who would win,
world.
Aragorn or Jaime Lannister? Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's not just let's duke it out. I have an opinion. It's no, I'm going to provide you factual analysis as to why this person would win. It's great. So again, we're hoping to work with an artist on this one to kind of bring some of this fiction to life and bring that into a studio space and build it into this really comprehensive, awesome visual thing that you get to hear his knowledge, but see it really in front of you.
Yeah.
So pretty pumped about that one. He'll have his own creator circle as well. So Nubita will have projects, but loads of other things that we want to develop with him, longer projects that he'll bring into a creator circle. So we've got an option there as well.
Yeah.
And then Exploring Jackson's Lord of the Rings is a project with me and Corey that basically branched off of Rings and Realms and Other Minds and Hands. There's not a deep dive into Jackson's trilogy.
Yes.
And we want one.
Yes.
So we'll do it if no one else has. And we're talking years we might be doing this, but we're going to be doing a pretty close reading of the films. Line by line of the script, line by line of the spoken word, shot by shot, brick by brick of the sets, and really deep diving. So a whole episode, you know us, a whole episode could be 6 seconds of footage, but here we go. So we're pretty excited to dive into that one. And then can I mention Verlin Leaguer project as well?
Yeah, so there are several other projects that we have that we're hoping to release soon, and other creators that we've been talking to and working with, we won't mention right now, but there's a bunch of other things that are coming down the road. New Better was sort of our early adopter in this, but yeah, we have you can talk a little bit about the Verlin
a little
project.
bit. I mean, if you were at MythMoot, you saw a clip of it because I shared it there and gave a studios update. So if you have access to that, enjoy that. Something like that will be up soon. But we do have a series that we're going to be starting called Conversations, and it's sitting down with renowned academics or creators in the field to have that conversation that happens after the paper is delivered, to have that conversation after the film has been screened. So it's sitting down in the pub over a pint, or sitting down in the cafe for a cup of tea, or in their home if they invite you to their home to have a cup of tea with Verlin Flieger and talk about Tolkien. So that's the vibe. It's just very relaxed, but oh my goodness, knowledgeable, and so much content. So we have hours of footage, and this is the first of a series. So it's a very cool place to be, to kind of cut our teeth on this and figure out what we want the series to be with such a rich, wonderful first option.
Yes.
And there's many others lined up already that we cannot mention, but guys, you're gonna be pretty pumped. So.
Exactly. So, yeah. So these are the projects that we're starting with. More projects, as we say, to come, and there's also more with the press too, Amy. Right? There's some things, because of course, all of those that we were looking at before, which already have a bunch of material released into circulation in the library, are also still ongoing as well.
Right. And for the project rooms for those, like, for instance, Kay will be sharing another chapter or two, perhaps, of her novel and asking for feedback on it before it goes into circulation for people to read in a more general way. Mike Drout, we'll talk about that in a minute. He's got another book that will actually be starting in a project room. It's called How to Learn How to Think, and it's about the liberal arts.
Yeah.
And he does a marvelous job with presenting the value of the liberal arts in education and how important it is for us to learn those and to dig deeply into the liberal arts. And what we're going to do there is we're going to actually do a reading and discussion focus group. The book is pretty much written at this point, but he wants feedback from readers, real readers, and people discussing his book before it's released to a larger audience. So we've got that going on. And we have Jeff LaSala, more Silmarillion stuff, his Silmarillion primer, and it is marvelous. He is going deep into the Silmarillion and pulling out all kinds of details in a very fun and enjoyable way. And then those chapters are going to appear in production or the project rooms also each month, and you'll have a chance to read through those and offer feedback. Corey, of course, and Jeff and Kay and Mike Drout will all have their own creator circles as well.
Exactly. So, and Amy mentioned about stuff going on in Dr. Drout's Exploring Beowulf stuff. So in exploring, as we said before, in Exploring Beowulf, he's been going through line by line, doing these sort of lecture commentaries all the way through the poem, talking about it from a bunch, doing like linguistic discussion, literary discussion, historical discussion, all kinds of things, right, as he's been going through. But he has in mind a phase 2 of the project. And the phase 2 of the Exploring Beowulf project is good because he's almost done. Before too long, a couple months maybe, he's going to release the last of the lectures. He's going to get to the end of the poem, or at least the part of the poem that we still know about, and then he has a couple more topical lectures that he wants to do as well. But soon he's going to be done with the lecture series. At which point, we're going to be looking into then adapting that into an interactive text. I don't know if it will grow to be something exactly like the Perseus digital library stuff that James was showing, but we might go in that direction eventually. Who knows? Maybe we could integrate the manuscript and other things. But the next step is going to be taking his lecture series. We're going to be doing transcriptions of those and adjusting the transcriptions and then correlating passages from his audio lectures to the text. We're basically wanting to build a digital text with his audio commentary attached to it, essentially, that we can work. And the people who are going to be in his Exploring Beowulf project room will be able to help with that. The whole project room will be like his research assistants, basically, as we work together to build that and make that happen. It's going to be really, really neat. So, and that's just one of the things that I love about that idea is, again, it's a very collaboratory kind of idea, right? And it's not only an alternative way to publish books, right? This is a totally different way to think about projects and to work together. And I believe, I have a very strong suspicion that a year from now, things will have grown organically in ways that I cannot possibly foresee right now. It's been my experience when you bring together a community of people doing something like this. But I think that the way in which Exploring Beowulf began as like an audio series, right, and it's already beginning to grow into something else here in phase 2, and I think there's going to be a lot of new kinds of projects and new projects being taken in different ways that nobody foresaw and all of that. Okay. So anyway, so these are some of the core things that are in development right now, that are open for people, for our subscribers to join and to become a part of. These are our project rooms where you can see these works in progress and you can be involved in those things. I'm gonna now go and do a sort of a more thorough tour of our little space here of the collaboratory. You guys, if you guys have to go, and I know, Maggie, it's late for you over there.
I know, I'm like, I'll come for a little bit, but if I get quiet, you know that I've gone to bed.
It's
so
totally fine. So thank you, Maggie, for joining us. I know it's
so pumped about this, guys, and there's going to be a lot of information coming out soon, and we'll find ways to make sure people can contribute and ask us questions too. But I'm very excited. This is the right kind of project. I'm gonna spiel for another second, but like, this is the kind of stuff that you get into the industry and you think you're gonna do something to find that doesn't exist, that you actually just have to jump through the hoop and do this job that everyone has done for 1,000 years, and you just are another cog in the machine. That's not always the case, but that's kind of like the standard practice of like, oh, I thought I was going to be super creative and get to do this thing, but actually I just have to scan these papers and learn Excel better.
Yeah.
So having the opportunity to do something like this, where you can work with individual creators and help them visualize some dreams and get some things onto film, and work with a studio that wants to help you make this happen. Like, it's an amazing confluence of wonderful serendipitous things that brought this about. So it feels exciting. So I hope you guys are pretty pumped about that too.
Definitely.
Yeah. Right, give them a tour. There's a lot of questions about how this is going.
Exactly. I'm getting to, I know a lot of people have questions about the logistics. I'm going to get there. I don't want to start with logistics because I don't want to make something this exciting sound boring by talking about logistics at the beginning. But let's talk about logistics a little bit. So here's how subscriptions work. All subscribers will get access to some things. Everyone who subscribes will get access to. So that includes a couple things, including something I haven't explained at all yet. So this is going to take a minute. But before I get invested in that, all subscriptions come with access to the library. So that is all of our material in circulation. Everything that is completed, and doesn't mean the whole book is completed, right? Like the first 6 chapters of my book are already here in the library. The first 20 chapters of Kay's book are here. The first 80%, right, 90% of the Exploring Beowulf lectures are here. Those are all still in development in their project rooms as well, but they're being pushed through here. FanTracks don't live in a project room. They're simple. They're just one audio track, right? So they get pushed straight through here into the library. So yes, that is correct, Brave Brown Bear. You get access to everything that's been produced ever. Yes, all subscribers get access to everything that's been produced ever. Now, one thing that I would one caveat: it's not they're not downloadable. They are all, you can interact with all of them on here on the app. And hats off to Gravity, Darren Boyd, who has produced our custom app for us. This is custom designed for the Collaboratory. It's so useful. Oh my goodness, this is an amazing, a really, really amazing app that he has produced for us in a very short amount of time. But anyway, you can. This does all media right here. So you want to, come into. So this is, Mike Drout. Oh, get a little musical interlude here, but.
Number of poems, most famously.
So you got the audio here. You get video embedded here too, and it works really well on your devices as well, so you can access this from your phone. You can listen through your phone, you can watch on your phone or on other devices as well very easily, and then you can read text as well. So the text is available as PDFs here. So here's my audio book here.
Chapter 0.1.
Yes, indeed it is. And then, or you can read chapter 0.1 if you want to look at, to start with the problem of the Lord of the Rings here, as I began discussing the prologue here. So, so all of our media is going to be available from within our app to all subscribers, always. So that's the first thing, right? Okay, let me come back. The thing that I'm skipping that I want, that I don't want to just touch on really fast and move away from because it's awesome, is the production halls. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. The production halls are really, really cool. The halls are also something that you get with all subscribers get access to everything in the halls as well. So get access to everything in the library, everything in the halls, which I'm going to explain in a minute. Now they also get project rooms. So project rooms you have to choose. So with different levels of subscription, you get different numbers of project rooms. So the base level, the essential level of our subscription gets you access to all the halls, all of the material in the library, and you get to choose one project circle to be a part of. You can change, not like daily, but like once a month you can change. So if you want to go and visit other project rooms, you can. But yeah, so you get a project room. And if you subscribe, there's the essential level, there's the premium level, and then there's the patron level. And if you subscribe at the premium level, you get 2 project rooms. If you subscribe at the patron level, you get 3. Now, the other thing that you get at the patron level, and you heard Amy and Maggie referring to these, are creator circles. So our creator circles are opportunities to support more directly the creators that you're really enthusiastic about. So if you really love Kay's novel, and I think you will if you read it, because it is, as Amy said, it is so beautiful. I love Kay's book, The Flower of the Cedar. And it's so much fun, by the way. I read it before. So she had circulated an earlier draft of it in audio form. And but she's done a lot of revising of it. And she it doesn't even know where it's going anymore. It's so cool. It's so much fun to see that, to watch that unfold and listen to that unfold. But anyway, you can join Kay ben-Avraham's Creator Circle. And what happens in Creator Circles? Creator Circles are where you get to actually to have contact with the creators. So each of the authors and producers who are going to be a part of circles, they will have meetings with you once a month. So they'll meet with their circle once a month to hang out, to discuss, projects, upcoming projects, other things that are going on. It's just a great way to support and to get to know some of these really fun people who are doing this work that you're really enjoying. And you get to know that you are patronizing them, that you are helping to support them, because the the additional so you get one creator circle. You get to choose one creator to be in their circle. For it, when you subscribe at the patron level, you get a creator circle with that. What was I going to say? Sorry, losing my train of thought. So, right, you choose a creator. Right, the sort of the extra subscription that you're paying every month to have the patron subscription, like half of that goes towards directly towards supporting the creator themselves in royalties. So you're patronizing, you're supporting them. You're being a patron of them. You are being able to be in touch with them. I have so cherished my meetings with my author circle, as we called it before in the earlier iteration of the press. I have so delighted in the monthly meetings I have had with my circle. And I'm looking forward to that continuing. All four of these, Professor Drout, Jeff LaSala, me, and ben-Avraham have been having circles. And so we hope that the people who are in our circles will choose to continue in the collaboratory. And if you do, of course, now you get access to much more things in addition to that as well. Yes. Now, someone was asking, and it's a very good question, do you get access to our project rooms if you join our circles? Yes, you do. So if you... Oh, by the way, there's one circle that's not up here yet. New Better Do Better is going to have a circle also. So you can join New Better's circle and hang out with him. And to be perfectly frank, he's way cooler than I am. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, so New Bet, we don't have... there's still kind of some of our new app here is still under construction, and all of it is still under development. So I hope that you will be patient with us if something isn't there yet or whatever. There are still things where we're working on finalizing stuff, and there will be lots and lots of improvements and developments we'll be making so if we don't have the capacity to do something yet. So somebody was just saying, Eric, yes. That's a great example of a feature we don't have yet, but we will definitely be working on building, and that is the idea of the app supporting an in-app offline queue. I would love for that to be able to happen if we could do that. We'll see. I'm not sure exactly what the how hard that would be, but we'll see. But yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing. And by the way, we would love suggestions from people and feedback from people. You can notice at the bottom of the page here, our email address, collaboratory@signumu.org. Any suggestions or recommendations or whatever, if you're looking at our app and you're like, ooh, it'd be really cool if they either like this wasn't working or, we would love to see this. We'd love to get suggestions as we're going through here. But okay. What I was saying though, was that when you subscribe at the patron level, and so say you subscribe at the patron level and you choose Mike Drout's creator circle, right? Then you would become a member of Mike Drout's creator circle. Now remember, with your patron level subscription, you get a circle and you get access to 3 project rooms. But since you're in Mike Drout's creator circle, you get his 2 project rooms thrown in, right? So you get Exploring Beowulf and How to Learn How to Think. So you get to be part of the liberal arts book reading group and part of the Exploring Beowulf research group, right? As part of your circle subscription. And then you can still choose 3 other project rooms to be in. So yeah, that's how that will work. Okay, what else was I going to say? I think so. Again, so when you look at the navigation up here, right, on these rooms, these buttons are to now obviously at launch. Many of the numbers of things that we only have 9 here project rooms that we're beginning with. You can still kind of separate them out, Signum Studios rooms and Signum Press rooms. When the day comes that there are, 30 of these, those will be even more useful than they are right now. Same thing with the library. In the library, you can, there are a bunch of different ways in which you can you can sort the library. The default view is to browse all the projects, and it shows you all of them. You can separate those out by brand, by Signum Press. Signum Studios doesn't have any yet, as we said. FanTracks has a few. You can also get a list of them from A to Z if you'd rather just look at a list. Again, this would be useful when the list is longer. And also, if you're just wondering, hey, what dropped lately? Click on latest content. And this gives you not the projects, but the latest content area. So if you go, for instance, back to the library, back to browse, look at these different, so chapter 1, chapter 0.1 final of my book, that's a content area, and it has these 2 media files in it, right? And then here's another content area, 0.2, 0.3, 1.1, right? 6 different content areas with my media files uploaded to it, right? When this means, so when I finish chapter 2.1, right? When I finish chapter 2.1, and we discuss it, and I'm tempted to add as a side note to my author circle people, don't laugh when I say when I finish 2.1, that chapter has been woefully delayed, in large part because I've been helping to build the collaboratory. But now that we're launched, we're getting back to it. Really, it's happening. Anyhow, when I am done with chapter 2.1, I will push that through. But of course, if you're just looking at the library project pages, right, it's like, this is the whole thing right here. So how would you know when the next chapter is published? Well, you click on latest content and my latest chapter will show up, right? You'll be able to see this is in chronological order, right? What are the last chapters and segments that have been released among all the projects? So if you're wanting to check to see, like, hey, did Kay's next chapter drop today, right? Did chapter 2 of the Silmarillion Primer drop, right? Did that next video segment from New Beta drop today? This is where you check, because these will be organized in the order in which they are posted. And of course, today, since we did a lot of population of the live site today, you can see that Mike Drout's Exploring Beowulf is rather dominating this page because, as Amy was telling you, she just finished uploading all of his audio files there. All right, so this is our library. Now, I've been avoiding the halls because, as I said, I didn't want to give them short shrift because the halls are awesome. When I came up with the idea of the collaboratory, as I said, the primary focus was on publishing, right? Was on, like, how can we do publishing better? How can we do a different, better, cooler thing when we go to publish works, and so, we came up with this collaboratory idea. But then as I was working through it, the library and the project rooms, right? So you got the work in progress being pushed through into the library. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. But I was realizing, we could do more than this, right? We could have these larger rooms in which all kinds of different kinds of projects could be built, and sort of the opportunity to do so that the projects that are in project rooms that go from the project rooms through to the library, and then eventually out to publication, right, out to sale, out for sale outside outside the app, right, outside the subscriber pool. But what about other works? Wouldn't it be cool to be able to give an audience to short works? So I mean, one difficulty. Think about this from a creative writing standpoint. What do you do? What do you do if you're a short story writer? What do you do if you're a poet? Heaven forbid. Right? I mean, that you can produce anthologies, right? Either in groups of people or individually. But poetry and short story anthologies don't sell extremely well. You know what else doesn't sell extremely well? Academic essays. That also not a big seller, right? And I one of the ideas for the halls was to say, look, let's remove the financial pressure entirely from that. There are a lot of works, either maybe they're shorter works, maybe they're sort of newer works by emerging writers. Let's bring them out here. Let's put them into the collaboratory. Let's give them an audience and see what happens. Let's give them an audience and see what happens. Where, again, remember what I was saying about like so much of the decision making in the publication world is all about the risk, right? The financial risk, generally. What if we just remove the risk? What if we just say instead, hey, let's have a place where we can take works like these, again, works from emerging writers' work, shorter work, the kinds of works that, aren't normally published, elsewhere, things like academic essays. There are lots of really, really interesting, insightful, short academic essays that like no one will ever read, right? I can't tell you how many times as a teacher, as a professor, I would read a paper or like a thesis or something from a student and say like, this is brilliant. This is great work. And probably no one will ever read it again. Right. That's like a part of the academic experience, right? Same thing with moot presentations. If you guys have been here for a while, you saw all the places I'm flying around the world going to conferences, to the regional moots and the myth moot that we organize. I'm hearing like a couple times a month, I'm hearing bunches of papers and presentations, and many of them are wonderful, really, really great stuff. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if there were a way for more people, for more people to hear these things, to see these things happening. So we have created a spot in the collaboratory where these things can happen, where we can give works like this, which are simply marginalized in traditional publications, or either there's just no place for them at all, they're irrelevant, like conference presentations. Who publishes that, right? And I don't mean like a paper inspired by or developed from a conference presentation. I mean, so either they're marginalized entirely within the publication world, or they're marginalized for other reasons. Again, like, if you're a new author who's never published something before, it's really hard to get your first publication, right? I mean, that's a very, very difficult stream to cross. Well, why not, when we have a new author that's been identified by somebody, say, for instance, one of our creative writing instructors in the space program. We've got a bunch of people writing really cool stuff in our creative writing program in space. So we've got one of our creative writing instructors in space who says, there's this person who's written this marvelous story, and I think it would be really fun to share it. We're like, hey, we don't have to, go to the business office in the back room and be like, well, what are the odds that we're going to make a profit on that? No, it's like, yeah, let's give this an audience. Let's try that out. So that's what the halls are, the production halls. Right now there are three categories of halls that we have. We have the fiction hall, which doesn't just mean fiction like as opposed to poetry. It means fiction as opposed to nonfiction. This is like creative writing, essentially the creative writing hall, but fiction hall is one word instead, or two words instead of three. So we've got the fiction hall, we've got the academic hall, and this is where primarily essays, master's theses and things like that, a lot of work that many of our students at Signum are producing really brilliant work. Some of that goes on to be published elsewhere, but a lot of it does not. So again, wouldn't it be fun to have a place where we can read those things? And then the presentations hall. The two presentations that are up here right now, this is Sarah Brown's presentation, which she just gave literally a week ago today, about 1 week and 4 hours ago. I was listening to Sarah Brown give this talk, which was a brilliant talk. Eowyn it was, and Dernhelm also, reading The Wild Shield Maiden Through a Queer Lens. Really, really smart paper. So anyway, and so many times I'm sitting there saying, wow, there's so many people who would be really interested to see this. And now you can. Similarly, if I go back to the presentations hall, The Nature of the Rings of Power is a talk that was given by Tony Mead at Mountain Moot last year, where he went through and he was looking at all of the Rings of Power, all 20 of the Rings of Power, not just the one, and looking at that from a sort of a historical perspective. Really, really interesting talk that he gave. People who were at Mountain Moot will remember that one. The academic hall, the first paper that we have, and then we've got some others that are on their way here. This is a paper on Ursula Le Guin by Susan Dillon. And then we have, in the fiction hall, we have two things that are up already. One by Christopher Bartlett. Those of you who were at Mythmoot the year before last, I believe. I don't think was it last year? No, it was the year before last, wasn't it? I'm forgetting. Christopher will remind me. But he wrote it was Mythmoot 9, that's what I thought, the year before last. He wrote a conclusion to the Lay of Leithian, starting off where Tolkien broke it off and writing through to the end. Really fascinating, creative endeavor. And I loved it. So we have, and again, that was a thing which happened at Mythmoot. Some people missed it. Some people heard about it and are like, oh, I would love to read that. Well, now you can in the Collaboratory. And then also Sparrow's poetry collection called Morning Meanders. So we have a collection of poetry. We have actually, well, I guess we're 100% poetry right now, though again, more stuff that's going to be coming in here. So one thing that I want to make sure to emphasize, the halls are like the project rooms. This is part of the production area too. So when you go to the halls up here, all of these things, these are open for discussion, right? So you can read Sarah's paper from her presentation. She's going to be working on refining it. All of these are here to be collaborated on, right? To be read and responded to and discussed. If you have input, feedback, suggestions, people who are posting things in the hall are often going to be interested. Sometimes they'll just be interested in sharing it, right? Sometimes they'll be interested in developing it in certain ways. Maybe they, will eventually, like somebody in the academic hall, may be wanting to take this paper and send it to a scholarly journal for publication. Well, the academic hall is a great place for them to post this and get some input and feedback so that they can revise and develop it. All of these things, fiction, academic, and presentations, these are all works in progress, which people can discuss. Some of them are going to be longer, like Sparrow's poetry collection, right, which is multiple poems that she will put in over time. Some are going to be, I was pointing to something else when I meant Sparrow. Yeah, some are going to be like Christopher's conclusion to the Lay of Leithian is one thing, right? There's not going to be, not so far as I know, writing a sequel to the Lay of Leithian. So that's just sort of one text. And when we're done discussing that, then that will move out of the halls. Whereas Sparrow's poetry collection is likely to be here for a while as she works through it. But like the project rooms, all of these, different eclectic, sort of new voices and everything else that we're able to kind of feature here in the halls, all of these also are going to get pushed through into the library as they're done. So after some discussion on the Lay of Leithian conclusion, Christopher's poem is going to be then made available in the library, and it will show up there in the library. After some development with Tony and Sarah's presentations, right? Some feedback and maybe some revision, then they'll probably re-record a final version of the presentation in audio, maybe video form as well. Then those two will get pushed through into the library. So eventually, the library is going to have material from all over the place, from Signum Press project rooms, from Signum Studios project rooms. FanTracks are going to be fed straight into the library, and also the products of the Fiction Hall, Academic Hall, and Presentations Hall as well. And all of that will be in the library, and it will live here for everyone to listen to and read as long as they like. So that's how, and that's what all of these buttons up here are for. So when the time comes, again, none of the hall materials are in here yet because they're just starting out. Just like the studio stuff isn't ready for the library yet either, quite. But these will get pushed through as they're complete, and then you'll be able to isolate the different kind of brands of materials here. Yeah, so it is possible. I do expect that in the Fiction Hall, we're going to have short works like short stories and poems, as well as novels that will, that will probably happen here as well. Let me emphasize one other thing about the halls. It is very possible that one of the things that we're going to be doing, one of the other advantages, I mentioned one advantage or a couple advantages of having the halls, right? When we see something, again, either by like an emerging author or something as they say in like a genre or whatever that gets marginalized in traditional publication, or a short work, which again is often kind of awkward to place and package, in publishing, we put it out in the halls, but we'll be able to track how people are responding to it, right? How many people read it. We're going to be able to see comments that are being made on it and everything. We may well decide that we want to pick some of these things up for publication ourselves. People who submit things to the halls are welcome. Like, they retain all of their own rights to them. We're happy to give them an audience. We're happy to give them feedback and support. But if you want to take our feedback and support and all of the audience response that you've gotten and then take your essay and submit it to another journal, totally fine. You want to take your short story and it gets picked up for another published collection, awesome. We will celebrate with you when that happens. But there may also be times when we want to pick it up, right? We may see, like, so taking the Fiction Hall, for instance, right? A few months down the road, maybe we've had a bunch of really good short stories come through and people have loved them, right? We're getting a lot of our subscribers, a lot of our readers are really, loving them, right? They're doing really well, getting a really positive response to that. We might say, hey, awesome, let's do a collection. Let's take those and put them in a project room and shape this collection, or maybe let's just put them straight into publication, right? Let's package it together and put it up for sale, and give those people a contract, right? We might even do it with individual pieces. I could easily imagine that. The vast majority of our publication is going to be digital, so maybe we take a short story or novella or something. Golly, talk about your genres that are hard to kind of package for publication. The novella, right? I mean, it's tough, right? Not fat enough to sell as a book, too fat for a collection often, right? It's awkward, but hey, we don't mind. So say there's a novella that somebody writes, which is a really, really good story and lots of people are loving it. Well, we could publish it on its own, right? Put it out there for publication. Again, give that person a contract and we will publish it ourselves and sell it to the public and give royalties and stuff. So, now, is putting work in the halls open to anyone? No, it is not. The halls, it's not an open submission forum. The things that are going to be placed in the halls, it's by invitation only. So there will be an opportunity for submissions, for open submissions. I know that, Maggie and Amy both are really interested in, ideas and suggestions that people have for projects, and lots of really fun possibilities can come in that way. But there are also other ways in which it's mostly going to be things that we have either identified out of the open submissions we have received, or have identified through some other mechanism. As I mentioned, for instance, if if one of our space preceptors says, hey, this is a really great piece, you guys should look into this, we'll look into it and consider inviting them to submit to the halls. If same thing with, like, one of our faculty members says, hey, this person just wrote this brilliant thesis, it's really, really good, we'll look into it and we'll consider inviting them to the academic hall and everything. So the academic halls are by invitation. They're not open. These are going to be curated collections. Okay, so the library is where everything is circulated, right? The halls, I've just been explaining the halls, right? These are the production areas where you can come in and give feedback to all of these different kinds of projects. The project rooms, which you can choose. And remember, everybody has access to all the halls. All subscribers can access any project in any of the halls, right? So those, again, we want to give them the widest audience possible. It's part of the point of why we're putting them out there. So everyone can access everything in the halls. Subscribers choose project rooms based upon your level of subscription, which project room you want to be involved in. You can change, but you can't change more often than once a month. And then creator circles. For our patron level subscribers, you can choose to be in a creator circle, and those creator circles will... and you also get access to the project rooms from that creator circle, as I say, as a sort of bonus attached to the patron subscription as well. There was another thing that I just thought of that I should tell you, but now I've forgotten it again already. Yes, Bad Violinist. That's exactly the thing. You read my mind. You can also purchase other ones. So you can kind of customize your subscription if you want to. When we did the author circles with the Signum Press this past year, we had several people who were in like three of them. We had a couple who were in 5. So that's totally cool. So you can choose one of our 3 subscription levels, the essential, the premium, or the patron level subscriptions. And to any of them, you can add a circle, or you can add a you can add a circle, you can add an extra project room, right? So for instance, say you choose the essential subscription level, the lowest level subscription, but you really want to be in a project circle, you could add not a project circle. There's me mixing the nomenclature. A creator circle. You can add a creator circle to your subscription. Eric asks, do the halls have a way to converse with presenters? Not if by converse you mean like to meet with and talk to, no. But of course, the other thing I haven't mentioned, the one other thing that is going to be, the one other application, the one other external software thing that it's going to be interacting with our custom app here. Most everything you want is going to be here. All of the media is here. Your subscription stuff is here. Billing is here. All of that stuff is here. But discussion is not yet here. I think it will be eventually. Eventually, we're going to be able to incorporate that right into this app because it's so cool. But yes, we're connecting it with the Signum Discord, Eric. That's exactly right. So each of our circles and each of our projects and things will have a discussion channel in our Discord. So if you choose to join the Flower of the Cedar project room, right, to experience the new ending of Kay's novel with her, then you add this to your subscription, you choose that room, then you will be sort of registered for the discussion channel of that in Discord. And there are discussion channels on Discord for the projects in the halls as well. So you'll be able to discuss with each other, and also the creators who submit the hall materials and who are involved in the project rooms are also encouraged to engage with folks through Discord there as well. So that's how that is going to work. So this is what I've been in here all the time, is my own account. Let me see if I was trying to do a sort of a sample one. Okay, so here's one where I have just signed up, but I haven't subscribed yet. So signing up and subscribing are two different actions, right? You can you go to the main page, and you can sign up or sign in. You can sign in, by the way, with you can do your sign-in validation through Google or through Discord. Actually, you can use your Discord login to log in to sign up for the Collaboratory. So you don't have to create a new sign-in. You can use Discord or Google for that. But then once you've signed in, now you have to you're in and you can see. So here you're able to look at the project rooms and the halls and the stuff in the library, but you can't see it yet because you're not subscribed, right? So if you're like, oh, I want to listen to Mike Drout's lectures, right? Well, you can't because you got to start your subscription, right? It's open to our subscribers, but you got to subscribe. So this will prompt you to subscribe, and then when you do subscribe, you can click this handy thing at the top of your top of each page to activate your subscription, and you have to. This is our user agreement. I recommend that you read it thoroughly. I actually do. It's really fun. But anyway, I'm going to accept that. Okay. And here's our subscription level. So again, Essential, Premium, and Patron. The Essential subscription level is $8.99 a month. The Premium is $14.99 a month, and the Patron is $29.99 a month. And then you can add a project room for $6.99 a month, or add a creator circle for $14.99 a month. So that is. This is where you do your subscribing, and then after you've subscribed, then you're in, and now you'll be able to see things. So you'll be able to go to the library, and you'll be able to see all the things that are in the library, like Sparrow and Maggie doing audio commentary on the film The Old Guard. Yeah, that sounds interesting. So here's your audio, here's your fan track to be able to watch The Old Guard and listen to Sparrow and Maggie talking about it together. You can go into the halls and you can say, yes, please, I would love to read the conclusion of the Lay of Leithian. And there you go. You can pick up, as Christopher gives you, the end of Canto 14, or the beginning, rather, that Tolkien wrote, and then continuing on. But now you get into project rooms, right? And you choose your one. Let's see, I'm going to choose hip hop and Tolkien. Come on, man. And there's a button down here to add it to your subscription, right? So it'll prompt you if you want to choose right away, but you don't have to choose right away. You can add as you go here. You just click on add to your subscription, and then you'll see the stuff there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Edith, we actually did work to make the user agreement readable and not just a bunch of opaque legalese. Yeah, that was kind of a goal of ours, actually. Malcolm Hardin could get his own project circle, or his own project room. I keep mixing them up. His own project room for producing prose like that. He's phenomenal. But anyway, all right. So clear, right? You see how this works, right? See what this see what this is going to be. How it's going. I know I'm over time, but that's okay. I don't mind being over time because this stuff is really fun to talk about. So this is the Collaboratory, and we'll see where it grows. I cannot wait to see. My anticipation, if I had to make a prediction, my prediction is that when we come back in a year, next year, when we revisit the Collaboratory, we're going to find not only lots more really fun new content has been coming in and coming through, right? Not only new projects have been picked up, but that what I expect is that as people discuss together and collaborate, lots of new ideas are going to come together, and new idea, whether they be new submissions that maybe find their way into the halls, maybe they find their way into their own project rooms. Who knows? But I can easily see this, especially I was thinking, when I was talking with Maggie about some of the video projects that we were planning on and thinking about. And imagining, having folks in that project room who can contribute in unexpected ways, right? Who have different kinds of skills and expertise that they could be, and who make themselves a more and more integral part of the process as we go along. I can see these projects growing in really interesting ways. Both the individual projects growing in new ways, like the Exploring Beowulf project is already beginning to grow in new ways, or again, new ideas that we haven't had before. So we'll see. We will see what happens, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see. Yes, Glorfinthalion, there are indeed some bugs to work out. I'm sure we keep stumbling across those from time to time. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes of this app that have just been, I think, balanced really elegantly. But there's a lot. So again, any bugs that you notice or any suggestions that you have, or requests, please do send us an email at collaboratory@signumu.org. So, right, I see the question about academic papers from non-Signum program sources. One of the things that we're going to be doing over the course of the next, month or two is sort of streamlining the submissions process a little bit. I want to clarify that a little bit more. I want to make sure, I want to find a balance between, on the one hand, I want to open the possibility for people to be submitting their own materials. I think we could discover a lot of really awesome things that way. But I also want to balance that against our need to keep our staff members sane. So, there are trade-offs to be made here. So as we kind of see how the workflow goes, we're going to be refining that process, and we'll communicate with you guys about that. If there's a sort of a new mechanism there. One thing I will say, so that answer addresses one possible version of the question you're asking. And the question was, what if you have academic material, but, how do you get academic material into the academic hall, if you're not part of Signum's academic program? If it's your own work that you would like to nominate, again, that was the question I was answering. We're going to be working on the submission process, and we'll publish that more when we've refined that workflow a little bit more. I would say, though, if you are a faculty member somewhere else, for instance, like we're not talking about your own work, but other work that or other work that you yourself have read, and if you're like I was, sitting there with a brilliant student who's written this wonderful thing, and you're like, no one's ever going to read this wonderful thing. I'm going to be the only person who will ever read this wonderful paper that this student wrote. Then I would encourage you to reach out and submit it. Get in touch with us. We can definitely look into that. Okay. Any other questions? And I might have missed some up the stream there, but any of you folks, Druid's Fire or Mad Violinist, if you want to repeat anything that I missed, or Phil, you're still with us. You're up late. Yeah. So, all right. I think that's, I don't think I forgot anything. Right here on your subscription page, you can see these are the project rooms I'm subscribed to. I'm an admin, so that's not shocking. Okay, right. Click to manage your subscription right there. Okay, yeah, I think we're caught up. Oh, wait, I did see one question earlier on that I wanted to make sure to address. if you were subscribed before. So like if you were subscribed to an author circle or to a serial release through the Signum Press before, those subscriptions are done. That's being entirely replaced by the Collaboratory. So we have officially stopped all of the old press subscriptions. So if you want to continue in the Collaboratory, continue in the circle that you were in, continue with reading the project that you've been wanting to read, you can, but you have to start a new subscription to the Collaboratory. We couldn't just carry those over. So you can, and it's open for subscriptions even now. So you are very welcome to come in and subscribe at this very moment, and you can begin. That you saw all of this, even though this is only a small sampling of the material that's going to be flowing into the library over the course of the next weeks and months. Still quite a bit to sink your teeth in if you subscribe here today. But yeah, again, that won't happen automatically. So if you would like to continue in your circle, you absolutely can. You just sign up for the patron level and you can choose the circle you want to be in. If you want to keep getting access, the great thing is if you are enjoying your serial release, you'll continue that, but you'll get much more. So say you were subscribed to the serial release of Mike Drout's Beowulf book. Well, now you can subscribe to the Collaboratory. You're going to still get all of that, but you'll also be able to read Kay's book and my book and all the FanTracks and see New Betta's videos and everything else as it comes out. So yeah, that is what's happening now. Sarah, the nothing else, events stuff and space stuff is not being changed at all in BlackBerry. The only thing that's being stopped from BlackBerry is the press subscriptions, specifically the old press subscriptions. So the old serial releases and author circles. Those have been stopped because that's changing over to the Collaboratory. All the event stuff, so if you attended an event and you have access to the recordings of that event, that's all going to be there already. All right. So yeah, all that stuff is still present. And again, space is still space, which means therefore it's still awesome. And it is still living in BlackBerry as before. Okay, cool. And yes, it's right. That's right, Scott. Accounts don't auto-migrate. That's true. Though again, as I said, you can validate your login. You can just use your Google login or your Discord login. Those are two other authentication systems. Validate's not the right word. Authenticate. Anyway, you can use them to sign in. You don't have to create a new account necessarily. You can just go through Google or Discord there. Yeah, good. Any questions about that? Anyone else? Well, I think I've gone very late now, but I'm not worried about it. As I say, I'm going to take a little break here again. Let's take a break for 10 or 15 minutes. When we come back, it's time for the fun and gaming session or portion of the Webathon. So what's going to come up next, right after the break, I'm going to be going through the different broadcasts that I do. I'm going to be doing the grand prize drawings. And I'll tell you, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll tell you what I'm talking about there. So we're going to do the grand prize drawings, giveaways. I'm going to be talking about the, we'll do a little year in review on our different broadcasts, so you can find out more about those if you've never been a part of them. Just to kind of celebrate this stuff that so many of us have enjoyed spending time together doing over the course of this past year. And then we're going to do some LotR stuff. I'm going to go back and do some LotR gaming for as long as I can remain upright. All right? So thanks, folks, very much. And I hope you guys, I can't wait to see you guys around the Collaboratory. This is, I think, going to be just a wonderful time for everybody. So thanks, everybody. And I'll be back in, we'll be back in like, let's call it, so let's do it, it's 5 minutes to the hour right now. Let's do it quarter after. Let's do a 20-minute break. And we'll start up again at 6:15 for the broadcast discussion. And then I will begin, my, hey, wait a second. I'm not late. I'm early. Come to think of it. Man, I just forgot. Holy cow. I lost track of what hour we're in. Oh my goodness. I'm on time. I think that's why, like, the idea of my actually being on time, in fact, I'm ending 5 minutes early, was so strange to me that I couldn't even grasp it. But yeah, so we'll come back and we're going to do a bunch of giveaways and stuff in the next hour. All right. So start at quarter after. So 6:15 Eastern time, we will start our next segment, talk about broadcasts, give lots of stuff away, and then we will go into gaming after that. All right. Okay. Very good. Be back soon. Thanks, everybody.